rush. But if
Yeah.
nothing's really popping off, then you just have to wait.
Yep. I'd rather make zero money than to lose money. You know what I mean? Well, we're live, so good morning to everyone in the live trading room. I hope everyone is awake. You've had your coffee. If you don't have your coffee already, or if you haven't had already. And good morning to everyone on YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. Let's go ahead and smack that subscribe button and give us a like, so that way we can get right at it with our pre-market analysis. And Taj and I, we were just talking that it's really slow in pre-market right now. Very low volume. The markets are essentially flat. It did, the SPY and the NASDAQ and I think the small caps, yeah, they started to take a dip. I think the big theme right now overall is the markets, they've run up so much, right? And then Jamie Dimon, probably one of the most respected bankers in the world, right? Obviously he's the CEO, and I think he's the executive chairman as well of JP Morgan Chase, is bullish on the economy for the next couple of years, but also expresses really big concerns about inflation. What does that mean? I mean, if the economy is running so hot already, what he's essentially saying is to the federal government and to the Federal Reserve, let it do its thing. If you keep printing more money, if you keep putting out more stimulus, guess what? Inflation is going to run hot. Our money is going to essentially lose value, which is why in the chat room I put that gif of our money kind of burning, because it's true. I mean, if you're not investing and if you don't have a strategy for your money, if you just let it sit in your accounts, guess what? Inflation is going to be kicking up and your money will have less buying power. So that's a big fear that I have. And now, man, it's a GIF, not a GIF. I don't know what you're talking about. So, so with that being said, one of the stocks that I'm going to watch very closely is Riot. The reason why? Bitcoin has taken a nice dip. I think it's at like the 56,000 range at the moment. And Riot, Mara, all these Bitcoin stocks are going to take a hit. So I'm going to watch Riot very closely. I think if Bitcoin continues to dip, I want to see Riot fail 50.80. And I'm going to look at the 51 mark. Like if it starts to fail 51, I'll go in for the short, put my stops at 51.30. So I'm only risking 30 cents on the trade with the target of breaking the pre-market low and further down. So that's my Riot. If Riot just starts to rally because maybe Bitcoin is rallying, then we can look for an opportunity there as well. But I am a little short biased on Riot at the moment. SOS. I traded SOS in pre-market. Not a big winner for me, just a nice little scalp. I did share that on Twitter and everyone in the Discord. SOS is just being pumped by the Reddit community. You can see here in after hours, it ran from like $4.50 to freaking $6.50 in today's pre-market session. So SOS is going to be in play. I think it's one of the greatest volumes, the stock with the highest volume in pre-market. Let me double check that. Yeah, well, it was at one point. Where is SOS here? Oh, now it doesn't even show up on my scanner anymore. That's weird.
Really?
Yeah, that's weird. Well, nonetheless, SOS has traded 29.5 million shares already in pre-market. That's a whole lot of volume, if you ask me. So there's a lot of participation, and here's the way I see it. If SOS can hold that 575, 570 range, this can run up. If SOS breaks out of like $6.05, $6.10, we can go long, put our stops at 580. We got to give it a little bit of room here, okay? I think you can trade options on SOS, right, Taj?
Yep, correct.
Yeah? Okay. So for you options traders, you can trade this one. This one is definitely going to be in play. It's going to be my A-list stock. AMD. AMD, there's really not much going on. Traded a little bit. It was a high of almost 82. Traded down to 81.22. The reason why I want to watch AMD closely more so not for the morning action, but later today they've got an investor meeting along with Xilinx, if I'm not mistaken, and they're gonna be putting out some information, right? Tuck and AMD onto the side and just keep an eye on it, because when information comes out on the merger, right, and the deal and whatever deal they make, there's going to be volatility with AMD later today. So AMD, just tuck it to the side and just keep an eye on it, because once that news comes out, I'm sure AMD is going to be a nice play, whether it's up or down. I don't care which way it goes. So it's going to be on my B list for the morning session, but then in the afternoon, I'm going to slap it onto my A list. All right. Viacom got a price target upgrade today. Seems like a lot of analysts are building positions in Viacom over the last couple of days. It's had a lot of volatility. It's tried to bounce, then sold off. Yesterday had a nice little bounce and good volume on the day too. Actually, the volume on yesterday was higher than the prior 3 days. So pretty interesting action here. On the daily chart, it's sitting right on the daily 8 MA. So I'd like to see what it does today. If Viacom breaks out of this pre-market high, it's actually creating a nice little downward bullish pennant right here. But if it could break out of this 45.60, 45.65 range, we can go long and put our stops at like 45.30. Just give it 30 cents. And if it holds that little pop and that bullish pennant that it's got going on, then we could break out. So this is going to be an A-list stock for me. One other name, the cruise lines. They're gapping up. I think they're just gapping up based on the momentum that they had yesterday. If the market starts to sell off, I'm going to look to short Norwegian Cruise Lines. Right now, I like this little base that it created at 31.75. If it fails 31.75, I'm going in for a quick short. I'll throw my stops right there at like 31.90. I'm only going to give it a 15-cent wiggle room because I'm going to go big on the position, and I just want to see it flush. If it flushes, great. I'll cover my position. My first target on it will be like 31.40, right? If I can get 30, 40 cents out of it, perfect. I'll cover my position, be done, move on to the next. If the cruise lines decide to rally, I want to see it reclaim 32, and then maybe set up like a bull flag, and we can do like a breakout. So that's what I'm looking for on Norwegian Cruise Line. Let's see if I get what I'm looking for. Other than that, I've got FGEN. One last one. This stock has taken a beating, and what happened was the CEO admitted that they they kind of manipulated some data on a drug that they're this is crazy. So it's obviously just getting slammed. What's interesting about this one, I mean, it's down 30% in pre-market. What's interesting about this one is that Bank of America came out this morning and gave it a price target upgrade. And I'm talking, they gave it I think it was let me see, let me double check here before I misquote them. It was like a 40, yeah, look at that. A $43 price target from Bank of America. So the key thing I'm going to look for on FGEN is if it holds the pre-market, yesterday's pre-market low, 23.80, if it holds that and we see a bounce on it, we can possibly go long and put our stops at 23.80 and maybe bounce it to 25, 26. But if it fails 23.80, look at the daily chart. This thing has some downside. I mean, you got to pull up a couple years on this one, right? The first downside target I see on this is like 22.80, right? So let's see how this one plays out. This one might be a little tricky, but I like it. I really, really like it. So, Taj, I'm gonna pass it on to you, bro.
Yeah, so I'll just piggyback off of SOS, kind of the game plan going into it. Alex mentioned a little earlier that pretty much if it can hold this 570, 575 range, it's a good idea to look for a long. However, if it really starts to break down below that, especially 560, that's pretty much giving away a lot of the momentum that it has. So we could potentially even look for a short at that moment. But as of now, I personally would like to see it, break above like 610, maybe even 620 before really looking to go long. So that's kind of my game plan going in for SOS, how to play it. Another name I'll be watching is CBAT, CBAT. This stock, there's I guess some on some batteries for Tesla vehicles. So because of that, they're getting a nice pop here. Did gap up to around 580. The volume is pretty good on it. We're doing anywhere between 30 to 100,000 shares per candlestick on the 5-minute chart, so that's not bad. So for this stock, I personally would like to see it trade back up to 620 before looking to go long. However, if it starts to break below 560, you could also look for a short on this name. So this is another cheaper name to watch. Well, the New York allowing sports betting, right? And DraftKings had a pretty solid day yesterday. It actually is gapping up today, with the market slightly gapping down. So pretty good for DraftKings. It was trading earlier around $66.27. It's pulled back about $1.50 from that price level. But it's just one that I want to keep an eye on. If the volume's heavy out of the gates with DraftKings, definitely look to trade it. However, if it is light, I'll go ahead and remove it from the list. But I just want to keep it on my radar just in case more news starts to come out, or if it does actually catch a pop. It was interesting. I was watching an NBA game yesterday on TNT. I think it was the Celtics, or no, it was the Bucks and Warriors. And in the middle of the game, they mentioned like a sports bet from DraftKings, like which team would make more threes, and you could go and bet it. So they are starting to advertise these things during the games, right? So that's something to keep in mind, even with DraftKings. That's something that's going to be consistent across all sports leagues. So I just thought that was interesting.
Nice. That is pretty cool.
Overall, I'll be keeping an eye on the overall market, just because I think we've had a big move in the market lately. If you look at the Qs, you look at the SPYs, it's just been straight up from really looking back, about two weeks ago. So we are starting to get into position. The RSI on the S&P on the daily chart is at 67.26. So we are starting to approach that overbought territory, that 70 zone. So because of that, I think we are going to experience a little bit of chop.
Is it me, or is your microphone cutting off? Does everyone hear that? Is Taj cutting off? Oh no. It's my connection. Seems like I have poor connection here, guys. My apologies. Alright, let's see if I can change this. Oh yeah. And there we have it. I lost connection. So for everyone on YouTube, sorry about that. Let me change my Wi-Fi here. I really need to fix my Wi-Fi. Alright, let's see. Okay. Alright. Seems like I'm back on now.
Very patient with a lot of these Yo, you there, Alex?
Yeah, I had to just switch my Wi-Fi. I lost a little connection. Sorry about that.
Oh, I think we.
Yeah, sorry about that. My Wi-Fi is acting up.
Oh, okay. No worries, man. Gotta change that Wi-Fi, bro. AT&T dropping the ball.
They are seriously dropping the ball, man. Seriously dropping the ball. All right, well, what did I miss? Last thing I heard, you were talking about DraftKings.
Went over. Then I pretty much just said afterwards that the market's just really flat today. Not
Yep.
a lot's going on. We've pretty much had a big move in the overall market for the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
Even if you look at like the SPYs, the RSI is approaching 70. It's at like 67 point something.
Yep.
So I think we're just in a position where the market needs a breather, and you're going to see a lot of the big names kind of take that breather, right? We saw
Yeah.
with stocks like what was it, Facebook yesterday, Microsoft, just kind of traded sideways, right, for most
Yep.
of the day.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be consistent for the next day or two.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I was saying definitely I'll be keeping a close eye on my scanners. Although I do have my personal A list such as SOS, CBAT, Viacom. I'm primarily going to be keeping an eye on the scanners to see what's popping off
Yep.
every 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I agree. Today's going to be a day where we got to be picky, and if the setup is not there, I'd rather us just not even take a trade and risk losing money, So I'm going to be very, very picky as well. All right. Well, with that being said, for everyone on YouTube, thanks for tuning in, guys. Check out our trade of the day once we publish that later today. And we've got some new content coming up on our YouTube channel that we're going to start publishing this week. So make sure to subscribe, follow us, and let us know if you have any questions, comments, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So take care. Have a good one.